So my prompt for today for shooting a video was, how did I get into this business? And have had other people ask me how I got into being a loan officer. It pretty much started right after college. I was actually a journalism major, and honestly I needed a job. I wrote for the school newspaper and I wrote for our town newspaper, but as a journalism major getting started, you just get paid by the piece. So I really couldn't support myself, and my family had basically turned my bedroom into something else, so it was pretty much known that I really wasn't invited to come back home. So I got a job with a title company, because that was in the 80s when rates were at 13% coming down to 10, and honestly they just needed warm bodies. So I did what we now call closing disclosures, where I would call the title company and get their numbers, and then I would call the seller's attorney and get their numbers, and then I would type it up on a typewriter and fax it out to everybody. And I did that for 9 months, until my older sister found out I was getting paid on a 1099, which I didn't even know what that meant. Basically, it means you're an independent contractor and you're now responsible for paying your own income taxes. But I didn't have any write-offs. Most self-employed people who are contractors have write-offs to offset their income, and that helps on how much they have to pay in income tax. I didn't have any of those. So one of the companies that I would call on a regular basis asked me if I'd like to interview for a closer job, and so I did, and it was with Coldwell Banker Mortgage. I don't think they exist anymore, but they had regular benefits. They were paying me on a W-2. It was a good fit. So I went to work for them, and there was no training back then like there is today. I literally walked in the door and they handed me a file and said, "Here, close this." 9 months out of college, I didn't even know what a mortgage was, let alone how to close one, but I was going to make this thing work. We did not have computer systems that told you how to do the APR, annual percentage rate. We had this machine called a Delphi machine that calculated the APR, and I would literally grab people as they walked by and say, "How do you do this?" Because every loan was different, of course. And then fast forward, I'm still here over 30 years later, and people are like, "Well, why didn't you go back into being a journalist, and do you miss that part of it?" And the answer is no, I really don't. I was trying to think about this as I was thinking about shooting this video, why I never did, and what it is about this job that's appealing. And the thing that's appealing about it is the same thing that it is for journalism, is I love people. I love to learn about new people, and I love the interview. And people are like, "What do you mean the interview?" When I start a conversation with a new client, my first question to them is, "How can I help you? What is it that I can do to help you get what you want to get here?" And for most people, it's they want to get this house, right? So they need the loan to get the house. And so I want to hear about their hopes and their dreams and how they got here, and what do they do for a living, and how do they do that? How do they get paid, and all that fun stuff. And there is no two loans ever alike. Every person is different, and I really enjoy that piece of it because it constantly keeps my mind engaged. But I also get to meet some wonderful, great people who've become really good friends of mine, and that's why I do what I do and continue to do it. And it never gets old, it never gets boring. It gets a little stressful sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, but what job doesn't, right? Especially if it's something that you have a passion for and you love, and you pride yourself on being really good at it and taking very good care of your people. It's gonna get stressful from time to time because you feel their anxiety, you feel their pain if there's any, and you move through that system with them and hopefully come out on the other side of it in a favorable way that makes everybody happy. That's why I do what I do. Thanks for listening.